Hello, I'm Andrew Lawless, and today I'm going to be presenting a presentation that is on the ethics of 3D printing. 3D printing is the process of using a digital blueprint or a schematic of an object, such as shoes, guitar picks, phone cases, keychains, and printing it off by using melted materials such as plastics or metals. 3D printers have proved to be a vital invention that have significantly contributed to the flourishment of numerous industries, such as the biomedical industry, which we are going to talk about later on. This is due to its drastically decreasing purchase costs, which increases availability to the everyday consumer, and constant technological advancements. Now, while these characteristics do seem benevolent, they do cause scenarios that bring up ethical issues that question the integrity of 3D printing. This is what this presentation is going to be focusing on. The first ethical issue that I'm going to tackle in this presentation is the infringement of intellectual property laws, which include laws like copyright, patents, and trademarks. These laws were set in place with the intention to protect both an artist or an inventor and their creations from crimes committed with the purpose of personal gain to the criminal, or renown gain and financial gain. Specifically, copyright laws protect creative works such as movies, computer programs like Windows and Microsoft Word. Patents protect technical works, and trademarks protect product logos in the merchandising industry. Connecting this to 3D printing, there have been numerous cases that were unprecedented and involved consumers printing off objects without the company's permission. This is piracy, and most argue that this is malicious to industries, or you could say it's unethical. However, as seen in previous decades, it is significantly difficult to prevent consumers from pirating products like movies and music from the internet. This has caused ethical questioning of 3D printing, especially with how it's becoming a common product for the everyday consumer to have in their possession. With the technological advancements that the 3D printing industry sees, piracy could be a significant issue due to the possibility that torrent services could have the ability to upload the required schematics of objects for the everyday person to print off, which actually does seem to be the case, according to a statement that the Pirate Bay, which is a popular torrenting website, published. They stated, "We believe that in the nearby future you will print your spare parts for your vehicles. You will download your sneakers within 20 years. If this holds true, then piracy statistics will skyrocket if no further changes are made to intellectual property laws." Now, these observations have been made before, and many actually see these as reasonable concerns. Therefore, people are in fact trying to act on the situation. While it is inevitable that piracy will occur, it can still be minimized by publishing stricter laws that cover more topics than the ones currently published. In fact, Sonali P. Gunawardhana, who is a Washington, D.C. counselor and a former FDA attorney, stated that the FDA agrees that the intellectual property laws must change to protect our future from drastic piracy crimes. Although they have actually been researching this in recent years, and although there hasn't been much progress, they're still trying, and that is the best that can be done at the time. Now, all of this is not to say that current laws do not help end piracy crimes, despite not stopping initially from happening. For example, a man was selling figurines of a popular video game, Final Fantasy VII, that he 3D printed. He was doing it for financial gain, so the creators of said video game had the ability to cease his operations, which they actually did. So the current laws do protect the artists from having products that reflect their own works of art being sold by people that aren't them. However, this isn't saying much since the man was able to print off the figurines in the first place, despite not being his own work of art. So he could have just printed them off and not actually sold them, but just rather get them for a way cheaper price of the production costs and just have them around. The scenario shows that while punishments are in place to protect the artists, it doesn't fully prevent the crimes from taking place, so they are still being harmed. Therefore, 3D printing helps the piracy industry by giving it a platform for consumers to use for what cannot at the time be prevented. Ultimately, it is inevitable that if 3D printers continue to get major technological advancements, then it would only aid in the flourishment of the piracy industry. This means that in the sense of intellectual property, 3D printers have unethical contributions to society. Now, moving away from intellectual property, another area that brings up ethical issues is 3D printing's effects on the biomedical industry. In recent years, biomedical engineers have started using 3D printers to make artificial replicas of human organs to experiment on. In addition, it may be possible that with future technological advancements, in pair with stem cell research, it may permit the printing of genuine human organs and bone, which is an outstanding scientific breakthrough. Now again, these sound like good characteristics, but there are major side effects to them that create significant ethical issues among society. For example, quality control. If what I said previously is true, then human organs will be able to be produced from 3D printers, causing the supply of organs to increase dramatically, which will in effect decrease waitlisting, surgery costs, etc. Assuming quality control is in check, then all that would help in that the human's life expectancy will also increase, resulting in an overpopulation of humans. If quality control is not in check, then it could result in the harming of patients. These are very reasonable concerns. The future of the biomedical industry must be carefully planned, or else the effects of 3D printing could bring significant harm in both the short-term and long-term goals in society. Another example of an ethical issue in the biomedical industry is privacy. As stated before, doctors can now scan for the schematics of a patient's organ and print off a replica of it to experiment on. This would provide a method for testing medication that would put the patient out of harm's way. People have a privacy issue with this because they bring about questions like, well, what happens to the replica after examination? Does it get thrown away? Well, someone could dig around and actually get it out and use it for whatever purposes they may need it for. Does it get kept for future usages? Corruption in staff could occur, and they could use it for malicious or unintended purposes. In addition, it could actually create a surplus of replica organs just lying around in doctors' offices and hospitals, and it could probably create contamination or health hazards. Because of these questions, people are cautious about this development of the industry, as it could be a breach of their privacy. There's also an ethical issue that involves religious concepts conflicting with humans producing their own organs. People believe that kind of duty should be left to deities, and there's not really a way to go around that. Religion is always going to be conflicting with stuff like this. There's no way to get around that kind of issue. 3D printing's ethical standing in the biomedical industry is really hazy. On one hand, it has outstanding potential to be a benevolent factor in the industry, and on the other hand, there are reasonable concerns that people have with it that make it come off as a potentially unethical tool. So, in conclusion, 3D printing provides humanity the opportunity for an ethical future, but it must be handled rationally in order to avoid unethical scenarios such as overpopulation and breaching of privacy. Now, there are also some general issues that do not fall in these previously mentioned categories, like privacy in the biomedical industry, and they can be significant issues. With 3D printers becoming more common for the everyday person to have, we must be cautious that some may use it for malicious purposes, such as printing off a gun or some other weaponry and using it for malicious purposes, or printing off drugs and using them and harming themselves in the process. Just like with piracy, it is difficult to prevent scenarios like this from happening unless there's a filter that stops citizens from printing certain objects that require a license for it. I bring this up because it works in conjunction with all my previous points to provide a conclusion for this presentation. Ultimately, while 3D printers have the potential to be an ethical tool, the way people use them determines if they are truly ethical or not to society. Thank you.